Federal immigration enforcement officers are once again at the center of a violent confrontation in Minneapolis. In the latest clash, a federal law enforcement officer shot and wounded a man in North Minneapolis during a targeted immigration enforcement action, authorities say. The incident unfolded just after 6:50 p.m. Wednesday when officers attempted a traffic stop on a man in the country illegally, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Officials say the subject fled, crashed his vehicle, and ran on foot. During the arrest attempt, the suspect resisted and allegedly assaulted an officer. Two additional people reportedly joined the struggle, attacking the officer with a shovel and a broom handle. Fearing for his safety, the federal officer fired a defensive shot, striking the suspect in the leg, officials said. All three suspects were taken into custody, and the wounded man and the officer were treated at separate hospitals. Minneapolis police say they were not involved in the shooting and are working to confirm details of the incident. The incident comes less than 1 week after Renee Nicole Good, 37, was killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis.
Tear gas, flashbangs, and fury on the streets of Minneapolis. Federal officers clash again with protesters on Tuesday. ICE agents spray eye irritants as anger over Renee Good's killing boils over. Federal officers dropped tear gas and sprayed eye irritants at activists Tuesday during another day of confrontations in Minneapolis. New footage showed protesters holding signs reading "Abolish Police" as ICE vehicles drove out of the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. As protesters refused to move, federal agents tossed flashbangs into the crowd. Authorities say the confrontation escalated as protesters blocked vehicles they believed were carrying ICE officers, throwing objects, beating on cars, and chanting anti-ICE and anti-government slogans. Many demonstrators waved U.S. flags, demanding the immediate withdrawal of immigration and customs enforcement from the state. Police responded by deploying riot units, firing non-lethal rounds to disperse the crowd, and making arrests. 8 people were detained during Tuesday's protest. This comes 7 days after a 37-year-old mother of 3, Renee Good, was shot in the head by a federal immigration agent while driving away in her Honda Pilot, an incident that has ignited outrage across Minnesota. Protests spread beyond the city. Students at a suburban school miles away walked out of class, condemning the Trump administration's sweeping immigration enforcement operations. The Department of Homeland Security has pledged to send more than 2,000 additional immigration officers into Minnesota, despite mounting resistance from state and local leaders. Homeland Security says it has already made more than 2,000 arrests in the state since early December and insists it will not back down. Federal officials continue to defend the ICE agent who shot Renee Good, claiming he acted in self-defense. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said Good weaponized her vehicle, calling the incident an act of domestic terrorism. President Donald Trump echoed that claim on Truth Social, calling Good very disorderly and alleging she violently ran over an ICE officer. But Minnesota Governor Walz rejected those claims, urging the public not to believe this propaganda machine and demanding a full, fair, and transparent investigation. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and other state leaders have also criticized the federal account, citing videos of the confrontation that appeared to contradict claims of self-defense. The FBI has now taken over the investigation and revoked Minnesota's access to investigative materials. The fallout is tearing through the Justice Department itself. At least 5 federal prosecutors have resigned from the U.S. Attorney's Office amid growing controversy over how the Trump administration is handling the killing of Renee Nicole Good. Sources familiar with the matter say the departures include First Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson, a senior prosecutor who had been leading major public fraud cases in Minnesota. A Justice Department official said there is no basis for a criminal civil rights investigation in the case. However, an FBI probe into Renee Good's death remains ongoing. The Trump administration has repeatedly defended the ICE agent, insisting he acted in self-defense. Anger over the killing has now spread well beyond Minnesota. In Washington, activist groups including Indivisible, Move On Civic Action, Public Citizen, and others held an ICE Out for Good rally and vigil outside the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Building. Several Democratic members of the House and Senate addressed the crowd, condemning how the Trump administration is conducting immigration enforcement.
Every day, this Department of Homeland Security is not making our communities more safe, it is making us less safe. They are in our cities not to protect us, not to enforce the laws, but to seek out confrontation and chaos. It is not too much to ask for the Congress to say this. If we are going to fund the Department of Homeland Security, we want to fund an agency that is simply complying with the law. Understand why the President of the United States is trying to turn this nation against each other, trying to convince us that we have something to fear from our neighbors. He is trying to tell you, he is trying to convince you that immigrants are the greatest threat to our democracy, to hide the fact that Donald Trump is the greatest threat to our democracy.
And we've all seen it, an ICE agent killing a United States citizen. And let's say her name, Renee Nicole Good, a citizen, a mother, in my opinion, a patriot, doing nothing other than lawfully observing immigration enforcement operations. She should be alive today.
We can see exactly what happened with our own eyes. And yet you have Kristi Noem and the Vice President and the President trying to gaslight the country, trying to tell people that their own eyes are lying to them. Well, our eyes are not lying to them. What happened was inexcusable, and they need to stop lying about it, and we need to make sure that there's an independent investigation by the state of Minnesota. Just like in each of these cases, we need independent investigations because we're so sorry, but the reality is we cannot trust our own Department of Justice anymore under Pam Bondi. So we're in a hell of a situation.